Fury Media presents Rumble versus the Airwaves, a music, nostalgia, gaming, and culture podcast. I'm Tim, and here's Rumble.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Rumble versus the Airwaves. Thanks, Tim. A podcast about music, nostalgia, gaming, and culture. On today's episode, we have bassist for self-proclaimed greatest band of all time. We got Rob Felicetti from Bowling for Soup. And later, we've got The Discovery with Andrew Cahak from Minneapolis post-punk band Unstable Shapes. What's up, Tim?
What's going on, Rumble?
Everybody, this is Tim. He's my sidekick.
That's me.
Also running the soundboard over here like a pro. All right. What was that? That was such a gross sound. All right. Anyway, what you been up to, Tim?
I'm tired. I watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I also watched the Super Bowl. Well, I mean, I got up at 9 a.m. and started cooking for the enormous party that my family puts on every year, which isn't how I wanted to spend my whole day, but the food was good, and I was a little disappointed in the way the game came out. I know you weren't.
Because the 49ers suck?
Whatever. The Chiefs have their dynasty. Whatever Pat McAfee said or whoever was commentating on CBS last night. I think it was Tony Romo, that guy. Anyway, yeah, the Super Bowl was fun. It was a fun game. I'm not heartbroken. I don't love the Niners or anything, but it was a fun game.
It was the second time ever the Super Bowl went into overtime.
Yeah, that's true. I think someone said it was the 7th longest NFL game ever.
It's the first time I've watched football this season in a long time.
Really?
I don't watch a lot of football.
You're not a football guy?
I like music and video games.
That's true. I mean, I also like music and video games, but I also love the Miami Dolphins. Video games, though, dude, I know I'm super late to the party on this one. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, and I've been playing Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I think came out 2 years ago. It's super cool, though. It's just like, it's not at all a traditional Pokemon game, and it's focused a lot more on like running around and catching Pokemon. And you can like catch them in the overworld instead of like having to like sneak up on them in the tall grass. And
Sounds different.
It's very different. And also the cutscenes look amazing. The scenery, like the landscape is amazing. You can tell they put a lot of work into it. And I don't know why it took me so long to play it, but I'm glad I'm playing it now.
I've seen it, but because the cover's different and just the aesthetic of it is different, I haven't touched it.
Well, you were into Pokemon growing up.
Yeah, I still am.
Diamond and Pearl. You familiar with those games, right?
I didn't play them, but I'm familiar.
Okay, so Legends Arceus takes place in the same region as Diamond and Pearl, but like 150 years ago, before people were like catching Pokemon as much as they were now. Like
so ancient times in a sense.
Not really ancient. Like they have like settlements and like small towns and stuff. The plot is like they still look at Pokemon like these like super dangerous beasts that they need to stay away from instead of like partners. They'll catch like small Pokemon to be their partners and stuff, but like there's huge Pokemon that you have to go catch, and you basically like bringing the era of Pokemon being your friends into the world. It's kind of wild. You're like literally like tasked by God to go catch Pokemon in the past. It's wild, but it's an incredible game.
It sounds interesting. I've always been more of the trading card game.
Yeah, I did that as a kid. Well, I didn't play the game, but I did love collecting the cards. I never understood the game. It was a little too much for me.
You never really have you ever played Magic the Gathering?
No.
Have you ever played any like tabletop card games?
No, man, it was never my thing. The only card games I played were like playing card games, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You should download the Pokemon trading card game app.
Yeah?
See if you like it.
I might just do that. All right, let's head on over to the interview with Rob. What's up, Rob? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course, man. So you guys just wrapped up with the Love in the Sun tour, isn't that right?
Yes, with that was us and Lit and the Dolly Rots.
Yeah, I caught you guys at Janus in St. Pete. It was a great show, man. You guys put on an amazing show.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a particularly fun place for us if it's not in the summer.
Yeah, I hear you. I remember Jarrett saying like, man, who didn't tell me it got so cold in Florida?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, when you're up there, it's not as bad, but it was like pretty freezing, like just standing up there and watching. And that's me, and I live in the Northeast, but watching like lit play and stuff was like cold out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I remember I played there one time, and I played there in August, I think. And dude, I was drenched by the time I got off stage.
Yeah, we've done a couple summer shows there, so
It's rough.
We're happy to. We'd rather be cold than sweating to death.
For sure, for sure, for sure. So I'm curious about like you joined Bowling for Soup in, what was it, 2019?
It was before that, but 2019 is when like the paperwork was done, so to speak.
Okay.
And literally.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I mean, I started really filling in and playing in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing you in 2018 with Nerf Herder and Real Big Fish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, rad. Okay. Okay, cool. I'm curious, what was that dynamic kind of like coming into this, like, you know, fully well-established band?
Well, we were already like really good friends for like over a decade and did a lot of touring together. So it really wasn't any different. It was just less to do for me, like as far as not being involved with so many aspects of it, especially right off the bat. Like when I started just kind of filling in, all I had to do was just show up and just know the songs and play them. And that was it. And then you had to know anything or do anything else. But then when you join the band and you become like a partner of the business and really get into it, then you get more involved in decisions and input and talking to management and actually caring about, you know, how everything does. And instead of just showing up and being like, well, I'm here, I'm going to make some money and play bass and sing and go. Then it's when you become part of it, you're much more involved and the decisions affect you a little bit more and you want more input. And it's kind of cool to be given that in a band where it's not just show up and follow the lead guy. It's all four of us have an equal opinion and say in what we do.
That's really cool, man. So you talk about being friends with Bowling for Soup for a long time. Is that back when you were with Patent Pending?
Yeah. At the same time, I was in Patent Pending in a band called the Ataris. So I was always busy. I was always doing something. And
yeah,
most of the time on the road, like more often than not, we'd be touring with Bowling for Soup. So it just like right away. But before, I mean, I think we started playing shows with them in like 2009 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It's still a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were just like instant friends and just kind of kept it going. So it was really easy to kind of move in a little gradually. That's the best way to put it. Like it was just comfortable.
For sure. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So what's the touring life like with Bowling for Soup?
In what way?
Just like any fun anecdotes. What kind of experiences do you have with those guys?
We sort of speak our own language, so it's just a lot of inside jokes, a lot of Jerky Boys quotes, and just nonsense. I mean, so Jarrett and I also, Jarrett does like a country like side project as well.
Mm-hmm.
That Jarrett Ray Reddick.
Yeah.
And I play bass in that also. So between the two, me and Jarrett spend the most time together. But when we're touring, it's a little more like, I mean, Chris does his thing. Not that he's antisocial, but he's got his day sort of set up. Like he likes to watch certain things in the back of the bus and have his space. He's usually has his dog with him. So that's like a whole other set of responsibilities. But we hang out with him like much later. It usually like a day was like Gary and I get up and have coffee. And then Jared gets up and we order lunch. And then like the three of us sort of do most of the day together. Mm. It's the dynamic of it too. People will show up and think that we're like not wanting to tell, you know, like earlier in the day that we sort of just kind of sit on our phone, just hang out with each other and watch Seinfeld and some game shows or something stupid, you know, but like we'll just be messing around on our phones and keeping in touch with home and everything. And it just seems like we're tuned out, but that's just because that's the pattern of the day on the road is sort of nothingness for a while and then everything in the last 30% of the day, if that makes any sense.
I hear you. Yeah, totally. So you just did the Southeast. Where are you going next?
We did the Southeast, but we also did the Rock Boat, which was great.
Right? Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But next is on Tuesday, we all fly over to the UK to do a big old headlining tour.
Awesome.
With Less Than Jake. And then a band from Texas that we're really good friends with and we've done a lot of shows with. They're called the Vandaliers. Okay. So they're kind of like country-ish, but not, I don't know. But they fit in like the punk rock world, but they're sort of Americana.
Okay, that's dope. Yeah, I'll have to check them out. That sounds awesome.
Awesome, man. I listen to them. Like, I'm a fan, but they're good dudes to have out on the road. But yeah, this is going to be the band's biggest headlining shows to date.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. We just sold out the arena in Cardiff, which is very exciting. Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah.
At first, it was initially set up to be like, well, you open up, you do half of it. If you sell half of it, then that's the sell. Then it just kind of went so fast, and they kept opening up the room more and more as it was going. So now it's like fully sold out officially.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah. That's really, really cool, man.
Big moment for us,
Yeah. So I think it was like a week ago, you guys dropped a new song.
Actually, no.
No?
So yeah, if you're referring to award show Taylor Swift.
I am referring to award show Taylor Swift.
All right, so I'll clear this up because it's so funny too, because people are like, oh, there's a new, I've had friends texting me like, you put a new song and you didn't tell me. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then I open up social media and saw it. So, and also people are like, oh, you're just trying to jump on the whole Taylor Swift Kansas City Chiefs thing. It's like, no. Here's actually what happened. In like 2011, the band recorded that song to do, man, I don't know what album. There's an album, it was either Lunch Drug Love, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it was that, because I'm not sure. But so like one of the albums was happening, and it was when a lot of bands were doing the crowdfunding, like for the, you get the incentives and then you basically cover the operating costs of recording and distributing it. So band did that, and then that song was recorded as like a gift, as like a, hey, if you put up X amount for this crowdfunded album, you also get a song that's like exclusive. And this was in 2011 or 2012 or something like that. So it's forever ago. It's called Award Show Taylor Swift. And it's about how when like Kanye stole her award.
Yeah, I heard the Kanye lyric and I was like, wasn't that like so long ago?
That's when the song was recorded.
Yeah.
So it was just given to a select amount of people, and then it found its way onto YouTube. That's what always happens when people get music, right? Sure. So it just sort of existed but didn't forever. And then all the streaming services last week added it to the platforms like Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music. So it just happened to be, it was like we had nothing to do with that. It was just now it's available on streaming services, and it wasn't before that.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, sure. It's new to anyone that hasn't heard it. It's existed for a long time.
I think that includes Tim and I. I don't think we had heard it up until when we were checking your page. Like, oh, look at that.
I forgot the song existed until people were telling me about it.
Yeah. Well, if that song isn't new, is there new music coming up that we're allowed to talk about?
Sure, I could reference it. I mean, only because it's just so in the works anyway. We sort of are always working on stuff. It's not like it used to be where you had to write your shit, remember it, whatever, and then you all get into a studio and go. Like,
yeah,
we all have studios. I just have that set up there. We've all got
totally,
and that's all you need these days, as long as you got Pro Tools, right? And Dropbox. So Jared has like a proper studio set up at his house. Gary has this drum studio that he goes to that's like pretty close to him. It's like a convenient sort of little trip for him to do. And then Chris will just go to Jared's studio and track guitars, or I'll just be at his house and we'll do it. Either way. And anytime if either of us have an idea or something, we just track it down and start sending it to each other and just build a song. And then when we're like, all right, cool, let's do it, Gary will go drum it. And then we'll just build it out in our studios and it'll just be done. So we sort of are always working on stuff like that. Whether we're going to do, I do know we want to do what's called a destination album, like go somewhere and record it all together and do the thing.
Yeah.
Our last few records, we did that. So we haven't done a whole album of just piecing it together like this, like I'm saying. That's more of the writing process and making it product that's good to go. Mm-hmm. We did a couple one-offs like this, like some of the covers that were on that cover album from last year.
Right.
We are going to put out like a single that Jared's talked about on like podcasts before. So it's going to be called 30 Years, That's a Lot of Beers. And it's sort of a rewrite of 20 Years, That's a Lot of Beers from.
Yeah.
So we figured it's a cool way to, put that out around the band's birthday and make it a full band song. I think Jared and I streamed a version of it. Yeah. While we were tracking it at his studio, he did he did I don't know, a TikTok.
I remember seeing a TikTok live stream that I follow him on TikTok. And I remember seeing you in the background.
Yeah, so we were actually tracking all the guitars to that song.
Oh, awesome.
Like we'd never done that before. That was a really, really bizarre and different thing for me. So yeah, so that song's like in the works. I think it just needs all the other stuff. I think he needs to sing it. So we're probably going to put that out around the band's birthday, which is early June. And we do like we always do like a big show in like the Dallas area for each one. But this is going to be an especially big event because it's 30 years. It's a landmark year.
Absolutely.
So that's the only really new music that I'm like fully, I don't want to use the word aware, but like we know we have a plan with.
Yeah, totally. I hear you.
And actually, now that we're talking about it, I'm remembering more. So with this tour coming up, I think it's going to be put out as just like a little split thing, just 2 songs. We covered a Less Than Jake song and they covered a Bowling for Soup song.
Oh, that's rad.
So it's just a little fun thing for the tour. So
for sure.
That'll be out. I think that should be out when this tour starts next week.
Okay, sick.
That's new music. And there's always going to be more stuff. And then I think our plan is to do a proper album.
For sure.
Yeah.
So less about Bowling for Soup and more about just you. When you were an up and coming musician, who were some bands that were like really inspiring you?
I mean, I grew up listening to the Eagles. Like that's one of my favorite bands of all time.
All right.
Everybody likes the Beatles, so we're going to put that in there. I got into the punk rock stuff like in the mid to late 90s, like the NoFX, Bad Religion, Blink-182 kind of thing, that was happening there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it. Like, I mean, I liked Green Day too, but like that, I was really more into like the Fat Record stuff.
Right.
So that was always had like a big impact on me. Obviously Descendants and just like a lot of and then like a lot of started crossing over the radio in the late 90s, 2000s, and then Bowling for Soup and all of that. So it was a lot of that stuff always had a really big influence on like, basically because punk rock's so like, I don't know what the right word is. Let's just go with messy. It's not to be polished, right? So it always seemed like a taint, like, oh, I could do that because I grew up listening to the freaking Beatles and Eagles and stuff. So then be like, oh wow, I could do this. It was inspiring because it was attainable. There's a lot of bands like that I was really like, but I've always been a huge Beastie Boys fan, so that'll always find its way into my stuff.
For sure. Do you have anything in particular that you would say was like what made you want to be a musician? Because like I grew up in a family of musicians, so I was just always around it. Yeah.
I mean, my dad played music, but it was just like, it was like bar band stuff, which was fun.
Yeah.
But that didn't make me want to do it. I mean, because there was instruments around the house that I like messed around with. And I think honestly, it may have been like, and I've told them this, which is cool, which is actually cool because we're friends now. But like, I remember seeing Lit at this stupid little club in Scranton, Pennsylvania in like the mid to late 90s or something and being like, oh shit. Like I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because that was like probably one of the first like club shows I'd been to. I saw like Eric Clapton at Madison Square Garden before that, but that was like one of the first shows I went to. Like right when we started our first band. So that was kind of cool for me. And then to be able to, be friends with those guys and tour together all the time and stuff is a cool, what do they say, a full circle moment.
Yeah, totally.
I was going to ask you, how did that cruise go?
That was great. That was our second time doing the rock boat. Not only is it, so people are like, oh, it's a free cruise. Like, no, it's a paid cruise. We're there to work, and we get all, you get all the amenities you would on a cruise. You just have a few, obligations to fulfill. We had 3 shows. So like first night was a full band show, like in the theater. I don't know if you know about how they set these things up, but like there's always something going on, always some sort of show happening. Like theater, they turn the pool deck until like, they're like can build a huge stage out there and make that like a big venue. Then like all the little clubs around become like little venues and stuff. So there's like always something happening on the rock boat, which is great. And Six Man, the promoter, does an awesome job like putting it all together. They've been doing it like 20 something years now. So that element of like the show production concert side is just like it normally is at like any club, but you just happen to be on a cruise with all the cruise stuff. So it's like you mix a little bit of, you mix vacation. Like we brought our wives out and there's a lot of just friends there that we knew. So it was as awesome as it was the last time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And, if you're living anywhere where Bowling for Soup is coming, if you live in the UK, I guess,
yeah,
go check them out.
Well, they got the other tour
if they
coming
didn't
too,
if they
after
didn't
that.
sell out already.
I think there's one show that isn't sold out still. It's like somewhere in North England, but I'm sure by the time we get to it, it will. So, if you live up by Hull.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of stuff happening after that. Then we're doing Canada in April. We're doing, we just announced the first part of our big US tour for the 30 years of Bowling for Soup and 20 years of A Hangover You Don't Deserve. We're going to play the album front to back, plus the other hits,
Yeah.
So that'll be, we just announced I forgot what section of it was announced, but like whatever part of the country we're going to be in. I think this is like the Midwest to wherever. So that's out now. And then coming soon after will be the rest of the shows that we're going to do on that tour. So yeah, bowlingforsoup.com's got all that, obviously, and the social medias and what have you.
Awesome. Well, good luck and safe travels on all those different little tours there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right. We'll see you at Janet.
That's it.
Hey, Rumble.
What is going on, Tim? Brendan Lukens from hit Midwest emo 2010s band Modern Baseball just posted for the first time in a year about the 10-year anniversary of You're Gonna Miss It All, their second studio album, which is super cool. Since 2022, Brendan Lukens has only posted once a year, and before 2022, Brendan Lukens had not posted since 2018, and no one had heard from them since then. So it was a big thing when they posted in 2022 about the release, or the 10-year anniversary rather, of Sports, and now we've got a post about the 10-year anniversary of You're Gonna Miss It All, and it's got all of us wondering, when are they gonna come back?
That's what I was going to say. Do you think they're ever going to play again?
I don't know, man. There's I feel like there's signs. Like a little bit ago, they changed their Instagram handle, which means that somebody is actively using, the Instagram account. They not only restocked their merch store online, but they made new designs and put them on the merch store. That was sometime last year. There's a lot of signs that point to yes, but at the same time, Jake and Ian are both doing Slaughter Beach Dog. I'm pretty sure they're on tour right now. Sean has his band Steady Hands, which he's usually pretty busy with, among other things. He seems like a real Renaissance man on Instagram. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But Brendan Lukens is alive and well, so there's that.
That's positive.
Yeah, it's very good. We like hearing from them. What else is going on, Tim?
Did you see the new Deadpool trailer?
I sure did see the new Deadpool trailer.
I think I watched the Super Bowl more for that than the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But then it was just it wasn't actually the whole trailer. What they did is they gave you a 15-second little thing. It said, hey, go check online. The trailer's out now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, because I heard somewhere it costs millions and millions of dollars per second.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Super Bowl ad. So I have a feeling they just made it small because they want to put a 2.5-minute trailer on the Super Bowl and pay a lot of money.
Yeah, I just saw it on YouTube. It looks really good, but I am unfortunately not up to date on all the Marvel universe lore.
So I think the basis for this movie is to make pretty much merge the Fox X-Men universe with the Marvel universe, the MCU. That way they can start using those characters and kind of send it off, and all building up to the new Avengers movies.
Rad.
Yeah, Secret Wars, all that fun stuff.
And I did recognize the was it the TVA from Loki has something to do with it.
Loki season 1 and season 2, there's the TVA, and they're definitely showing up in this movie. So it has to do with time travel and all the incursion stuff, all the multiversal stuff they have building right now.
It looks very meta. It almost looks like the movies exist within the universe, almost. That's kind of the vibe I got.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It also looks like they're all going to get stuck in one area, and then Deadpool's going to come across all these. I think there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs.
Is this our film theory episode? Analyzing the...
I don't know. I'm super excited about it. It's the only Marvel movie getting released this year.
Oh, wow,
they're
really?
finally getting a little smarter and cutting and dialing back some and try to
because honestly,
save face a little.
They lost me for a while because there was just too much content. It just
I'm
wasn't
hearing that from a lot of people. They never lost me. I guess I'm just a goob.
Yeah, I mean, if you like it, you like it. But it was so much content to the point that to me it just wasn't worth trying to keep up. One movie a year, maybe a TV show here and there.
Yeah,
I can keep up with that. But it was definitely too much for a while. So, did you know that Billy Joel at 74 years old just released a new single?
I saw that, but I haven't listened to it.
It's really good. Obviously, Billy Joel is an absolute hit maker, so it's kind of hard to not enjoy one of his songs. But I wonder if this is, anticipating an upcoming album, because nothing's been released about it. He went to the Grammys for, I think it was like the first time in 16 years that he had been to the Grammys and performed his new song, which was awesome. And I just don't know if we should be expecting an album. I mean, 74 years old is quite an age to be making new music.
And how long has it been since an album?
Since 93. So what, 31 years?
I mean, one more album would be sweet, but I don't know.
I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. All right, now I think it's time for our next segment, The Discovery. We talked with Andrew Cahak from Minneapolis post-punk band Unstable Shapes. Let's check it out. All right, what's up, guys? We're here with Andrew Cahak from Minneapolis band Unstable Shapes. How we doing, Andrew?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. So we listened to your song the other day, Glass Ladder, the one that came out not long ago on Spotify. Why don't we talk about that for a minute? How did that song sort of come about?
Glass Ladder is really interesting because usually, so there's 5 guys in the band, and a lot of times one of our guitar players, Mitch, will like have a riff and he'll bring it to practice, and we'll just work it out as a group. But Glass Ladder was very different because I remember I was just like chilling at home. I was probably like reading a book or something like that, and I got a text message from Mitch. He's like, I just dropped this in. We have a Dropbox that we share with like all of our demos from practice and stuff like that. He's like, I just put this in Dropbox, check it out. And he had actually recorded guitar and bass, because he had just gotten a bass. He's like, I just want to buy a cheap bass just to like screw around at home with. And he actually had put drums down to it. And he had this full, like, I don't know, maybe it was like a minute and a half worth of the song. And at first he was just like, I don't know, like, do you think Kevin would be cool, like, that I wrote this bass line? Because when you hear the song, like, it kind of really starts, the bass is really where that song kicks off.
For sure.
And so we were like, yeah, I think he'll be cool with it. And so it was really uncommon for us because a lot of times, like I said, we collaborate when we write songs. But Mitch kind of came in with this idea, at least the first half of that song, like fully formed, to the point where it was mostly just a matter of the other guys just learning the song that Mitch had already written. That's kind of how it got started. And then, lyrically, I kind of have like a slush pile, folder on my computer, on my phone, or whatever, of lyrics. And so as we're just in the rehearsal space jamming it out, like I'm just kind of throwing stuff in there from this slush file just to see what sticks together, and then trying to figure out how to turn that into like a thematic concern. So the song really kind of came together pretty quick. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because like there's the bridge section in that song. At first, I was doing kind of a more sung vocal part to it, and they were like, yeah, I don't know if that works. And I was like, well, I think it works, but whatever. And then so they're like, what if we just take out the vocals altogether? And I was like, well, if we do that, then it's just a ska song. So I don't think we could just do that. So then we kind of reworked it and turned it into more of like a spoken word kind of thing. I mean, still a little melodic, but yeah. So, I mean, the song just kind of came together pretty quickly. I mean, not to like feel self-congratulatory, but I feel like it's a good song. So
no, man, for sure. You can give yourself a pat on the back. That song is rad. I appreciate that.
It's usually the second song we play when we play live now. It kind of rocks a little bit, but it's also like really approachable.
For sure.
And I think it's a really good précis of what our band sounds like. It's got this rumbling bass line. It's got the crazy like guitars that just bounce off of each other, but it's also really melodic. And then I also, I get a couple of screams in there too. So it really does encompass everything we do for the most part.
Yeah, totally. Well, I very thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, it's cool hearing about how that came together. Is that like a general way that you guys like to write songs, is like riffs and then you add lyrics on top? Because like personally with me and the bands that I write for and stuff, I can't stand putting lyrics on top of already written music. For me, it's always lyrics first. So I like
start with the lyrics
every single time. And I always like hearing about how different people write music. Yeah. Because that's the only way I can do it. Yeah.
So when we've started the band at first, like we kind of really slow time getting things going because so we started this really we like what happened the real genesis of the band is Mitch and then myself and our other guitar player Ryan went to see Massive Attack and we were just like, oh man, we should just start a band. Like it's like we're just like, oh, that was so amazing, like we want that feeling, we should start a band. And like we kind of just didn't really we hadn't really done anything in a long time creatively. Mitch had never been in a band. Ryan and I hadn't really done a band in a long time. So it was really hard to kind of get moving. And then we got our bass player, Kevin. So like, it was really kind of an interesting thing where when we first started, I just started writing down what I thought would be a song. And then when we would try to actually write music, I was like, this doesn't actually work with what we're doing. So it's actually better if I'm more reactive to what the other guys are coming up with. I'm not trying to get them to meet me. I'm trying to meet them.
Okay. I hear you.
And that seemed to work really well. And I feel like it also works better for me too, because a lot of times when I'm writing lyrics, you know, they come to me in fragments. A lot of times they come when I'm like in the shower and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get out and like write that down.
Yeah, I hear that.
Or whatever. I got to hang on to those 2 lines before I can get back to my computer and type them in or my phone or whatever. But yeah, like I don't tend to have complete thoughts when it comes to writing lyrics. It's more like pieces. And then what I'll do is I'll throw stuff at it to see what sticks. And then I'll kind of create like sort of a lyrical glue to kind of make it all work together. That's sort of how it works.
That's super interesting. Yeah. I've never really approached it like that, but it's super cool. So you've got that single Glass Ladder. You have another single coming out. Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so we have another song called Local Sphinx. By the time this drops, it'll probably be on the streamers as well. You know, another thing that we do a lot with our songs is we'll start it and we'll be like, there's something here, but we kind of don't really know how to tackle it and turn it into a real thing. So a lot of times we'll start something and then come back to it later. And Local Sphinx is definitely one of those songs where when we first started it, James, our drummer, was kind of playing this thing that almost reminded me of Radiohead a little bit. And now if you listen to the song, it doesn't really sound like Radiohead at all. But like just the way James is kind of doing like a jazzy kind of thing, the way Phil from Radiohead does stuff sometimes. Okay. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting that we're kind of exploring that. Cause like, I really like bands that they don't have one sound. Their whole sound is theirs and it's undeniably theirs. And like that's really appealing to me. And so Local Sphinx is a song that we started. And then I think we wrote like 2 or 3 other songs before we got back to it. And by the time we got back to it, a lot of things had changed in my life. And my father had passed away. And so the lyrics on that, it's really about trying to not necessarily find meaning, but like even wondering if there is meaning, like trying to decide if it's even worth pursuing religion or whatever system of belief that you can come up with. So lyrically, that song is certainly more, I don't say it's more personal than Glass Ladder, because Glass Ladder is also really sort of about some of that stuff too. But yeah, I mean, Local Sphinx is it's definitely more, I'd say it's probably more like what we do. It's definitely a little bit heavier, I think. There's definitely more screaming on it. I don't know. I'm really excited about it. Like I used to say I think that's our best song, but we've been writing a couple of new ones that I'm like, no, maybe those are our best songs. So, which is a good thing to have. I mean, it's a good problem, right? It's to like, oh, the newest thing we wrote is still better than the last thing. So yeah, I'm really excited for people to hear that too, because I think with Glass Ladder, it leans really heavily into like some of our post-punk influences. And I think with Local Sphinx, it's more of our post-hardcore, you know, the noisier stuff that we really like, you know, so like there's some Sonic Youth in there and there's some Unwound in there. And so I'm really excited for people to hear that, because I think it does kind of expand our sound a little bit. It still sounds like the band that does Glass Ladder, but it also sounds like we can do more than just that. Yeah,
I hear you. So these 2 singles coming out are presumably in anticipation of an upcoming album?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are just trying to finish writing a couple more songs. We've got 2 other songs that are already recorded, so 4 recorded in total. And then we've got, I think it's like, I lost count, but it's something like 7 or 8, maybe 9 other songs written. I don't know if all of them will make it to the album, but we're really adamant about doing a full length. The deal I made with the guys is like, you guys can record an EP. I am not recording an EP. I'm recording a full length because I personally believe in the full length. I think it's a format that is underrated. Not to sound like an asshole, but I feel like it's an adult thing to do. Like I really do want to make music not just for kids. I hope the kids like the music, but like I want it to be appealing to adults as well.
For sure.
Anyway, so we're trying to finish this up. So hopefully by end of March, we'll have the rest of the record recorded. And then as far as releasing it, I mean, who knows? Hopefully we'll find a label that's interested in putting it out. But if not, we have experience releasing music on our own as well. So it's not the end of the world. But hey, if somebody wants to throw us some money to press it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Recording. How do you guys do your recording? Do you like to demo it out and then go to the studio? Do you have someone who mixes your stuff? Do you do it yourself? What's your process?
Yeah, so we have a practice space in Northeast Minneapolis. I don't know what it was, but it's like a warehouse storage space kind of place that's been converted. So all these other bands in town practice there.
That's so punk.
Yeah, it's super punk. And the company that we rent from, they have like 3 or 4 of these facilities across the Twin Cities. So like, I don't know, it's weird when in the parking lot, there's all these old semi-trailers full of shit. And it's super weird because it's super, like you would not suspect that there's probably millions of dollars worth of musical gear. Maybe not quite that way. Because I mean, we're not talking like famous musicians who practice out here, but there's 50 units in this building, you know? And so we just practice there. We have like a little Zoom recorder that we'll just throw up high and just record practice into that, or record it on our phone just to kind of demo it. And it's a really kind of an iterative process. So I mentioned like we have our Dropbox. So like if you go into, like we have a folder for each song. So you can go into each song and go and kind of track the progress as we make it. If you listen to the demos for the Local Sphinx, I don't remember, the working title I think used to be called Atoms. And you can listen to that and those sound like that kind of Radiohead sound that I was describing. And when you listen to the final track, it's like a totally different kind of thing. So once we kind of feel like we got the songs gelled out, we decided to record with a friend of ours. His name is Noel Tate. Everyone goes, "Oh, what studio do you record in?" I'm like, "We recorded in Noel's basement." Which sounds super like, I don't know, but Noel has his setup so dialed in. I mean, he could record anywhere and it'll sound great because he just knows what he's doing. He's been making records for 25 years. I mean, he was in a bunch of like cool punk and hardcore bands and like indie rock bands and all kinds of shit for the last 25 years. So actually 30 years probably. And so we just feel really comfortable with him also because he knows what we're trying to do. And because he's got a lot of experience, sometimes I think a good producer helps you achieve something that maybe you don't know how to get on your own.
Absolutely.
So we record with him and then he'll mix it and kind of send us a mix. And, you know, we'll be like, oh, I think reverb is on the vocals are too high, or like this guitar needs to be bumped up or whatever. And we just we can work really, he's really good at quick turnaround and really understands what we're trying to do. Yeah, that's kind of the process that we go and it's just really rewarding, you know, seeing this thing that we started 5 years ago and all of a sudden it's like, oh, now it's like real and we can share it to people. So it's really rewarding.
Oh, and certainly no shame doing your recording in a basement.
I mean, I've recorded in studios too, and that's fun. Like, I think studio craft is really, like, until you've done it, you don't appreciate how it's fun and it's cool. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is a really cool space. But ultimately, like, if you don't have the luxury of that, as long as you've got somebody who knows what they're doing and knows what you're trying to do and knows how to achieve that, the space is sort of irrelevant. It could be inspiring, a great space is, but ultimately it's the people that make the record great.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've recorded in studios and I've recorded at home studios, and I'm sure if Florida had basements, I'm sure I would have recorded in a basement. Nah, it's too wet.
Yeah. Midwest is all about that basement life.
Yeah, I wish, dude. What I wouldn't give to play a basement show, you know?
Yeah, come to the Twin Cities, man. We'll rock with you.
For sure. Which brings me to our next point. Let's say someone hears this and they're in Minneapolis. When and where can they go see you?
Our next show is going to be March 15th at Zora Darling, which is a really great venue that just opened up. Their first show was Quicksand, and Quicksand played in like a 300 cap venue. So I mean that's Zora Darling's that small. That doesn't happen like ever. So it's a really great space. It's gorgeous. They got really good food, great drinks. So that's a really cool spot. We usually play about once a month. So that's kind of the only thing we got on the docket for right now that's confirmed. I think we're playing something in April with our friends in Curve, but I don't know the details on that yet. So don't quote me on that one. But we're always, open to play cool stuff, and you can always just follow us on Instagram. We're pretty active there. So if you're ever just wondering like, oh, when's your next show? Go to our Instagram and you'll see that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was a great time.
All right, everybody, don't forget to check out Unstable Shapes. Check out the new singles and check them out if you live in Minneapolis or the surrounding areas. Thank you so much for being here, bro. And now here's Glass Ladder by Unstable Shapes. Such a good song. All right, it's time for our next section here, DIY or Die.
So Rumble.
Yeah, Tim?
Being a DIY musician and being in multiple bands and going on tour with those bands all by yourself, tell me some tips.
I've assembled Rumble's 5 tour tips here for you. Number 1, it seems obvious. Shower whenever you can. I know it seems obvious, but like it's a hot commodity. I don't care if you showered earlier today and you have the option to shower later tonight. Take both showers. It'll get real stinky in the van. Number 2, put a lot of thought into your packing because obviously you don't want to underpack and have only stinky underwear for the back half of your tour, but you also don't want to have 15 suitcases when you need to fit all your amps and your drum kit and your guitars. Make sure you put a lot of thought into exactly what you think you are going to need. Obviously, pack a little extra in case of emergency, but for all the overpackers out there, rein it back just a little bit. Number 3, make sure you can fix a tire. Make sure you have everything you need to fix a tire. I have been stranded on the side of the road twice, and when you're in Jacksonville and you need to be in Orlando in 2 hours and you have a flat tire, you're not making it to Orlando in time. So make sure you have the know-how and have the materials to be able to fix your flat tire. Number 4, room temperature food is your friend. I hope you like bread and peanut butter because they last forever and they're good enough. They'll sustain you and you're not going to be eating out every night.
It'll get you through tour.
It'll get you through the tour. If you're a DIY band, your tour probably isn't more than a month maybe. You can do a month on potato chips and peanut butter sandwiches. Maybe get McDonald's once a week as a treat. That kind of leads me into my last tip is have fun, but keep your expectations of what tour life might be like in your head. Keep them low. Tour is grimy. Tour is stinky. Tour is grueling. Tour can tend to bring out the worst in some people. It's not glamorous if you don't have millions of dollars. You're not staying in hotels. You're sleeping in a van. And
sometimes with 5 people on top of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one tour I went on, the drummer woke up with my foot in his face. Sorry, Connor. It's not always fun. It's fun a lot of the time. Getting to go out and see the country with your friends is so fun. Getting to play places you've never played before is fun. But, you're also going to have shows where you're playing in the middle of nowhere in South Carolina on a Tuesday night. You're going to be playing to a bartender sometimes. And it's fine. Lower your expectations and you're going to have a lot more fun than you would otherwise. And those are my 5 tour tips.
Right on. And if you're a DIY musician in the Tampa Bay area, there's a new makerspace.
Yeah, the Raven Makerspace for Music just opened up here in Pasco County on the corner of 19 and Trouble Creek, if you know where that is.
You can check them out online at ravenmakerspace.com for more info.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this first episode of Rumble versus the Airwaves. Yeah! I think it went pretty okay. What do you think, Tim?
I enjoyed it.
I had fun. I hope you guys had fun listening to it. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Rumble versus Rumble versus the Airwaves. And then also reach out to us on Gmail, Rumble versus the Airwaves. Tell us what you want to hear and who you want to hear.
And you can also find all of the podcasts and their interviews on www.thenewfury.com.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Tim, for being a good sidekick today.
Thank you, Rumble, for being a great host.
And thank you guys for listening. See you in the next one.
Bye.